Hi everyone, welcome back to Scripture on Sundays. Today we'll be reading chapters 5 through 9 of Genesis. So let's get started. Chapter 5, Generations, Adam to Noah. This is the record of the descendants of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female. When they were created, he blessed them and named them man. Adam was 130 years old when he begat a son in his likeness, after his image, and he named him Seth. Adam lived 800 years after the birth of Seth, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Adam was 930 years, then he died. When Seth was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh. Seth lived 807 years after the birth of Enosh, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Seth was 912 years, then he died. When Enosh was 90 years old, he became the father of Canaan. Enosh lived 815 years after the birth of Canaan, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Enosh was 905 years, then he died. When Canaan was 70 years old, he became the father of, Mahalalel. Canaan lived 840 years after the birth of Mahalalel, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Canaan was 910 years, then he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he became the father of Jared. Mahalalel lived 830 years after the birth of Jared, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Mahalalel was 895 years, then he died. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enosh. Jared lived 800 years after the birth of Enosh, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Jared was 962 years, then he died. When Enosh was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. Enoch lived 300 years after the birth of Methuselah, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Enoch was 365 years. Then Enoch walked with God, and he was no longer here, for God took him. It's interesting to note. Up until Enoch, that said, they lived so many years and they died. But with Enoch walked with God, and he was no longer here, for God took him. Interesting. Continuing on. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he became the father of Lamech. Methuselah lived 782 years after the birth of Lamech, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Methuselah was 969 years, and then he died. When Lamech was 182 years old, he begot a son and named him Noah. Familiar name? Should be. If not, we'll get there. Saying, "Out of the very ground that the Lord has put under a curse, this one shall bring us relief from our work in the toil of our hands." Lamech lived 595 years after the birth of Noah, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Lamech was 777 years, and then he died. When Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Chapter 6, The Origin of the Nephilim. When men began to multiply on earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of heaven saw how beautiful the daughters of man were, and so they took for their wives as many of them as they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit shall not remain in man forever, since he is but flesh. His days shall comprise 120 years. At that time the Nephilim appeared on earth, as well as later, after the sons of heaven had intercourse with the daughters of man, who bore them sons. They were heroes of old, the men of renown." Warning of the flood. When the Lord saw how great was man's wickedness on earth, and how no desire that his heart conceived was ever anything but evil, he regretted that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was grieved. So the Lord said, "I will wipe out from the earth the men whom I have created, and not only the men, but also the beasts of the creeping and the creeping things and the birds of the air, for I am sorry that I made them." But Noah found favor with the Lord. These are the descendants of Noah. Noah, a good man and blameless in that age, for he walked with God, begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. In the eyes of God, the earth was corrupt and full of lawlessness. When God saw how corrupt the earth had become, since all mortals led depraved lives on earth, He said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to all mortals on earth. The earth is full of lawlessness because of them, so I will destroy them and all life on earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Put various compartments in it and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you shall build it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make an opening for daylight in the ark, and finish the ark a cubit above it. Put an entrance in the side of the ark, which you shall make with bottom, second, and third decks. I, on my part, am about to bring the flood waters on the earth to destroy everywhere all creatures in which there is the breath of life. Everything on earth shall perish, but with you I will establish my covenant. You and your sons, your wife and your sons' wives, shall go into the ark. Of all other living creatures you shall bring 2 into the ark, 1 male and 1 female, that you may keep them alive with you. Of all kinds of birds, of all kinds of beasts, and all kinds of creeping things, 2 of each shall come into the ark with you, to stay alive. Moreover, you are to provide yourself with all of the food that is to be eaten, and store it away that it may serve as provisions for you and for them. This Noah did. He carried out all the commandments that God gave him. Chapter 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and your household, all your household, for you alone in this age have I found to be truly just. Of every clean animal take with you 7 pairs, a male and a female, I'm guessing, a male and its mate. And of the unclean animals, 1 pair, a male and its mate. Likewise, of every clean bird of the air, 7 pairs, a male and a female. And of all the unclean birds, 1 pair, a male and a female. Thus you will keep their issue are children, babies. Thus you will keep their issue alive over all the earth. 7 days from now I will bring rain down on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and so I will wipe out from the surface of the earth every moving creature that I have made. Noah did just as the Lord had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came upon the earth. Together with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, Noah went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the clean animals and the unclean, of the birds and of everything that creeps on the ground, 2 by 2, male and female, entered the ark with Noah, just as the Lord had commanded him. As soon as the 7 days were over, the waters of the flood came upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, it was on that day that all the fountains of the great abyss burst forth, and the floodgates of the sky were opened. For 40 days and 40 nights, heavy rain poured down on the earth. On the precise day named, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of Noah's sons, had entered the ark, together with every kind of wild beast, every kind of domestic animal, every kind of creeping thing of the earth, and every kind of bird. Pairs of all creatures in which there was the breath of life entered the ark with Noah. Those that entered were male and female, and of all species they came, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. The flood continued upon the earth for 40 days. As the waters increased, they lifted the ark so that it rose above the earth. The swelling waters increased greatly, but the ark floated on the surface of the waters. Higher and higher above the earth rose the waters, until all the highest mountains everywhere were submerged, the crest rising 15 cubits higher than the submerged mountains. Can you imagine that? 15 cubits to a unit of measure they used back in those days. But the water was on top of all the mountains. Can you imagine? I can't. All creatures that stirred on earth perished, birds, cattle, wild animals, and all that swarmed on the earth, as well as all mankind. Everything on dry land with the faintest breath of life in its nostrils died out. The Lord wiped out every living thing on earth, man and cattle, the creeping things and the birds of the air. All were wiped out from the earth. Only Noah and those with him in the ark were left. The waters maintained their crest over the earth for 150 days. So that's a little less than half of a year, so like 5 months-ish. And then God remembered Noah and all the animals, wild and tame, that were with him in the ark. So God made a wind sweep over the earth, and the waters began to subside. The fountains of the abyss and the floodgates of the sky were closed, and the downpour from the sky was held back. Gradually, the waters receded from the earth, and at the end of 150 days, the waters had so diminished that in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest in the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to diminish until the 10th month, and on the 1st day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains appeared. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the hatch he had made in the ark, and he sent out a raven to see if the waters had lessened on the earth. It flew back and forth until the waters dried off from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the waters had lessened on the earth. But the dove could find no place to alight and perch, and it returned to him in the ark, for there was water all over the earth. Putting out his hand, he caught the dove and drew it back to him inside the ark. He waited 7 days more, and again sent the dove out from the ark. In the evening the dove came back to him, and there in its bill was a plucked off olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters had lessened on the earth. He waited still another 7 days, and then released the dove once more, and this time it did not come back. In the 601st year of Noah's life, in the 1st month, on the 1st day of the month, the water began to dry up on the earth. Noah then removed the covering of the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was drying up. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Go out of the ark, together with your wife and your sons' wives. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you, all bodily creatures, be they bird or animals or creeping things of the earth, and let them abound on the earth, breeding and multiplying on it." So Noah came out together with his wife and his sons' wives, and all the animals, wild and tame, all the birds and all the creeping creatures of the earth left the ark, one kind after another. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and choosing from every clean animal and every clean bird, he offered holocausts on the altar. When the Lord smelled the sweet odor, he said to himself, "Never again will I doom the earth because of man, since the desires of man's heart are evil from the start, nor will I ever strike down all living beings as I have done. As long as the earth lasts, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease." Chapter 9. God's covenant with Noah. God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fertile and multiply and fill the earth. Dread fear of you shall come upon all the animals of the earth, and shall all the birds of the air upon all the creatures that move about on the ground, and put all the fishes of the sea into your power, they are delivered. Every creature that is alive shall be yours to eat. I give them all to you as I did the green plants. Only flesh with its lifeblood still in it you shall not eat. For your own lifeblood too I will demand an accounting. From every animal I will demand it, and from man in regard to his fellow man I will demand an accounting for human life. If anyone sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God has man been made." I'm going to read that part again, that's important. If anyone sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God has man been made. It sounds a lot like the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not murder. We'll get there. Be fertile then and multiply, abound on earth and subdue it. God said to Noah and to his sons with him, "See, I am now establishing my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, all the birds and all the various tame and wild animals that were with you and came out of the ark. I will establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all bodily creatures be destroyed by the waters of a flood." He was very specific there. I think that's also worth noting. God was very specific that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood. "There shall not be another flood to devastate the earth." God added, "This is the sign that I am giving for all ages to come of the covenant between me and you and every living creature with you." Also, a covenant is a promise, an agreement. "I set my bow in the clouds to serve as a sign of the covenant between me and the earth." A rainbow. "When I bring clouds over the earth and the bow appears in the clouds, I will recall the covenant promise I have made between me and you and all living beings, so that the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all mortal beings. As the bow appears in the clouds, I will see it and recall the everlasting covenant that I have established between God and all living beings, all mortal creatures that are in the earth. God told Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all mortal creatures that are on the earth." Noah and his sons. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from them the whole earth was populated. From the sons and his wives is where everybody descends from. Now Noah, a man of the soil, was the first to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of the wine, he became drunk and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and he told his two brothers outside about it. Shem and Japheth, however, took a robe, and holding it on their backs, they walked backward and covered their father's nakedness. Since their faces were turned the other way, they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah woke up from his drunkenness and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves shall he be to his brothers." He also said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. Let Canaan be his slave. May God expand Japheth, so that he dwells among the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his slave." Noah lived 350 years after the flood. The whole lifetime of Noah was 950 years, and then he died. We'll stop there for today. A lot there, as always. If you are one of my students and you have any questions or want to talk about anything in particular, you have my number, text me. Feel free to respectfully discuss in the comments. There are a lot of hot topics that we just went through, or things that are culturally hot topics right now that I'm not going to discuss here. That's not the purpose of this channel. So if you do have any comments, please be respectful. And with that, let us close with a word of prayer as our Savior taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday and a fantastic week, and we will see you next Sunday. Okay, bye. Hi, popping back real quick while I'm editing. If you'll notice, there's a couple jump cuts while we're reading Genesis chapter 6, because I was trying to explain in a very concise way the two main interpretations of who, in this particular chapter, the sons of heaven and daughters of man were. But it broke it up too much, so we're putting it here at the end. In this particular context, in Genesis, in the Old Testament, the most accepted explanation is that sons of heaven refers to the descendants of Seth. Seth was a righteous man. And the daughters of man refer to the descendants of Cain, who, if you remember Cain and Abel from Adam and Eve's sons, Cain was not a righteous man. So sons of man refers to his descendants. The other interpretation is because in the book of Job, which is also in the Old Testament, one passage does suggest that the phrase sons of God or sons of heaven could refer to fallen angels. And this, if that were the case, then the daughters of man would just be human women. But at this stage, the important thing is just to understand that unrighteousness was running rampant, to the point that God felt the need to wipe out everything he had created, save just for Noah and the animals that he brought on him on the ark with him. It's most important to understand that it was so bad on the earth that God felt the need to start over. But to be clear, in the New Testament, you'll hear Son of God. That means Jesus. So when we're talking about sons of God or sons of heaven potentially referring to
in this case, the line of Seth or fallen angels. It's only in the Old Testament context. So don't get confused if you hear a sermon saying, the Son of God referring to Jesus. That's the New Testament Son of God is Jesus. Okay. On that note, I will get out of here. This is getting to be a long video. Have a great rest of your week. Okay. Bye.